in many countries where Christians are persecuted and put to death now. Let us pray for freedom of religion and mutual respect. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Mary, seat of wisdom, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. So this morning we continue our study about property. We saw last class what is property. It is a central problem in social justice, in social ethics. And this morning we speak about the title to property and a contract. You remember when we have a contract, we have two terms. We have the subject of the contract, the one who possesses the right. We have the term, the one who must respect the contract. We have a matter, about what one we possess. For example, I sell a car to someone, so the matter is the car and the title, the reason why. Why this person has a right over that in regard with the other person. They are the four elements of every contract. Every contract implies two persons. It can be physical person, John and Paul, for example. It can be also a moral person, for example, a religious community with another community, or a government, a state with another state. So that is what you have to explain this morning, the title to property. Okay. So what is a title? A title is a historical fact making a theoretical right, the right to possess, into a practical right. We have the right to possess. We have the right to possess, for example, a computer. Okay? So that right is, right of property is abstract, is universal. Now you have to put that concrete in this computer with this person. So that is the title. And the title takes the universal right into a personal right, a concrete right, from abstract to concrete. Okay? So it's the reason why a person has a right over something. The right to own, to possess something. But we saw last week what is property, it is ownership. Now, I cannot take everything and say that is mine. No. I must have a reason to recognize, to affirm in front of others, that I have a right on that thing. And that is the title of property. That is very important because society is based on that. We have a right, and to have when we have a right, we have to put that right into concrete. For example, the parents have the right to send their children to school, but concretely they have to send them to a particular school, the school of their village or the school of their town. So that is what we studied this morning. And the Father faculty gives you 7 titles. Different titles. The first title is occupancy. We have the property of a thing because we occupy the thing. And the classical example of that is colonization. When Jacques Cartier entered Canada in 1534, he settled, he planted a cross in the name of the King of France. And it's the same in South America, in many places, So occupancy is the taking of a thing. It can be a land, it can be a house, it can be anything, that belongs to no one, with manifest intent of holding it as his own, as my own property. So it belongs to nobody. So what are the conditions? First, the thing must not actually be owned by someone. And that is the problem of colonization. You remember when the American and Canadian, they went British, they went west. They say, oh, there is nothing, only field. So we can take that, but the field was in fact owned by the Indian, no? And then today, in Canada, for example, we recognize and we have some agreement with Indian because they were the first owner of the land. You know? It's not enough to say, I am the boss, no. If we want to respect the right, we have to take care of those who are already there. Okay? So the thing must not be actually owned. Secondly, effectively, it possesses with the intent to own it, to keep it. Well, suppose there is an abandoned house in the country, a shack, and nobody is there for many years, so finally you say, I will spend my vacation there. So you settle in the shack to spend your vacation. If you want to stay only a few weeks, it's not occupancy. But if you settle all your belonging there, you have the intention to stay there. And that is second intention, to stay there, not only to pass. Okay? And finally, the intent must be known to others. We must affirm to others. We say, now, you know, I am the owner of that shack. Okay? I am the owner. And you have to say that, for example, to if there is a town not far from there, to declare to the town, you know, I'm living there now. This is my civil address, and consequently, I have to pay taxes, you know, to the town, you know. But by some intangible sign. So nobody should possess the thing. Secondly, we intend to stay there, to hold it, to keep it. And finally, we have to affirm to someone in a tangible way, that means sensible way, that we are the other. Okay? And we have taking an account also important factor in many countries, custom. What is the custom of a country? Because in some places the limitation of ground is not very, very clear. It's not very delimited. So we have to. In the majority now of our countries, we cannot trust only the custom. We have to go to the official and inscribe the land we take in the cadastre. You know what the cadastre is? The list of property in the city or in the village. And they limit, so they limit, the geometer come and they limit the ground. That is, and we put that with the cadastre. So it's the way official now in our countries, the majority. But in some countries they don't have cadastre. So you know it's the custom. I take that land, you know, I cut some trees, I state that it's my garden. You know. Okay? But more and more people become numerous, more it is important to have a cadastre, to have a book with all the property, with all the limits, the name of the owner, and also is the way to share the responsibility of the city. It is according to the cadastre that you are taxed. If you have large land or little land, a big house or small house, you pay taxes in regard of your property. Okay? The second is labor, work, labor. So through labor, I become the owner of something. You know? So labor creates new values that belong to the workers as product of his energy and skill and sweat. You know? When a worker is working, for example, the worker who did that desk here, he put in that desk his knowledge, his skill, his sweat, his time, you know. So something of the worker is in there. It's not only the value of a desk, it's not only of the quantity of wood, you know. No, it is also the value. So the work gives to thing a added value. not only the thing is, for example, a diamond. Well, you know, a diamond is a stone, huh? It's a stone. But it is the work of the jeweler, huh, who made that diamond so beautiful. So not only we buy a stone, but we buy the work, the skill of the jeweler, huh, who did that work on that diamond. So that is a title to property, huh, that work. So I can possess something because I work. I invest myself in matters. Huh? Okay? The work, but if the thing, if the material thing does not belong to you, you must be paid for your work. That means for the value added to the, for example, when you buy a desk, you don't buy only the wood. You buy the work and the wood. That means you buy the matter and you buy the work. And all that makes the value of the desk. So it's a way to, and today the way to pay is to pay in money. But in the old time, in the past, they paid with salt, for example. Because the salt was very rare. The sword, a soldier is the one who is paid with salt. That is the origin. It was paid with salt. That means he gave, and with the salt he was able to sell that and to have money. But today we don't use salt, we don't use chocolate. I cannot say, okay, I will give you 15 pounds of chocolate for your work. No. We want to have money because money is the way to exchange. But the money you have for your work, it is your property. It is your property that belongs to you. Because you invest, you put into the thing a value. And Karl Marx is very attentive to that. Karl Marx is very right when he says we must recognize the true value of the thing. That means not only the thing is here, but there is the work of the workman, the carpenter or the artisan, is something important, and we must. Justice is not only to pay the wood of the desk, is to pay the work of the worker, of the carpenter. Therefore, the carpenter is the honor of his salary. It's not a gift, it is the honor. In justice, he must receive. In next class, we study that, work and wages, because it is a great reality. Jean-Paul II wrote an encyclical only about that. Only about that, the value of work, what is work, because it's a great reality. Great reality in life. We sleep, of course, we sleep, we work, no, I hope. Saint Paul says, if you don't work, you don't eat. Okay. So I cannot buy, that is we cannot possess the worker. The worker, it cannot be bought on slavery. But I can buy his work. And we call that hire. What is to hire a worker? It is to pay his work. Okay? Another way of possessing is gift. We receive a gift. So a gift is a kind of contract. A gift, but it is free. It is gratuitous. A gratuitous transfer of ownership. For example, my uncle or my godfather, and that happened to me because my grandfather died when I was a baby. But suppose your godfather buys a bicycle, okay? And at your birthday, he gives you the bicycle. You become the owner of the bicycle. Because a gift is a title to possess. It is a free, it is gratuitous on the part of the giver, but also it is gratuitous, free on the part of the receiver. Because sometimes we can refuse to receive a gift. Because the gift can have consequences for us, I give you an example. I know a priest, a parish, And the pastor said, never I'll accept a gift from my parishioner. Never. For myself, never.
From what?
A gift from my parishioner. Because I don't want to be attached to someone, you know. Because sometimes, for example, you know, the gift we give to Democrat or Republican, are they a real gift? No. Because, yeah. So a real gift must be completely free on the side of the giver and completely free on the side of the receiver. And that is interesting. When you study grace and theology, we see that grace is a gift. Completely Greek. You have no right to receive that. Yeah, it is totally free. But also, the receiver is totally free. You can say yes to God, you can say no to God. You can accept. You know, that is important. So the title, the gift can be a title to possess. It's a kind of contract.
Yeah, excuse me, Father. But in giving gift, I mean, someone that is giving you gift could make a condition for, say, I'm giving you this gift for this specific purpose, and receiver
accept
has to respect the intention of the donor.
So that gift is not totally a gift. It is a conditioned gift. If you accept that, then you have to be faithful to the contract. Suppose your uncle say, I give you the bicycle, but at one condition. You will pass your bicycle to your sister. When she will ask you, you will. So you are not the exclusive owner of the bicycle, you know. Your sister can use it. Of course, when my grandfather gave me something, normally in the family we share. But strictly speaking, in strict justice, you are the owner of the bicycle. But if your grandfather or godfather say, yes, but one condition, do that or share with another. That I give you a television, but you know it's for you, but it's also for your brother, your sister, you know. So that is a condition. That's a gift. But we have, you know, in every contract, we have to respect the condition of the contract. But strictly speaking, a gift should be completely free. A real gift is free. In fact, that kind of gift is not a gift. It's a kind of contract, you know. I give money to a party, but you know, don't forget, after when you're elected, you favor my company, you know. Yes.
Okay. The second question is, when we talk about work and labor and payment, we talk about the dignity in labor. You know, someone is working for you, at the end you pay the person.
Yeah.
At what degree can we categorically say that a laborer has a dignity?
Okay. See, if you want, next week it is exactly the subject of that.
Okay.
We work on what is work, dignity of work, next week, next class. Okay. The other is the common title is trade. Is trade, exchange, commerce. Commerce means come. And merx in Latin means merchandise. So it means you exchange of merchandise. Exchange. At Christmas, there is an antiphon we sing, O admirabile commercium. Commercio. I don't think here it is about trade, money. It is exchange. Exchange. God gave His Son to become a man, and man become the Son of God. You know, that is Christmas. Oh, I mean commercio. Commerce means exchange of man. Come together. You know. Okay. So trade is the consequence of the division of labor. We spoke about that when we speak about family, at the beginning of the state. And not everyone can produce everything he needs. So more and more in a village, we have one man is taking care of horses, he fixed or shoes, another repair shovel, another is preparing pants, another is giving medicine. So division of labor. We cannot do everything. So we have to, because of that, you have to exchange. At the beginning, it was, we call barter. Barter. I give you, I ask you, give me 2 pants or 2 sweaters, or give me 3 pounds of butter. I give you 1 chicken. So you arrive to the market with your chicken, you give your chicken, your hen, and give you butter. That is barter. But it's not very, very useful today. Imagine Walmart, everybody arriving with that. So we have to use a common means. In that common means is money. So you see very clearly here that money is a means of exchange. Essentially, money is not to capitalize first. Money is created for exchange, to facilitate trade. Okay? So there is 2 reasons. First, because division of labor. Not everybody can do everything. And secondly, also mutual help and trust. Mutual help. In fact, and trust. Because trade is based on trust. And the first goal of trade is to help others, is to serve others. That's the fundamental goal of any trade, any commerce, any exchange is not to make money. It is to serve. And when it is first to make money, the system is vicious. Because the trade is first for the person, for the common good, for the good of the person. And that is valuable and morally good if there is based on justice. And not the problem is how I can to fix the price of things. That is another thing. But we see that when somebody sells something to you, who render a service, he comes to your house and repairs the pipes broke because of the ice, and the ice and broke the pipe. You call, you say, hey, come. It's very fast because I have a problem with my pipes. He comes to you, and in exchange of his word, you give him money. So money is exchange, but it is the fruit of a service. So you know, when we say greed is absolutely the deviation of money. So it is important to understand that, because many times money means accumulation, profit, benefit. A company does not exist first to make benefit. A company first exists to serve the population. For example, Connecticut Transit, I know the bosses on the street here, they pass from time to time. The company does not exist first to make money in the pocket of the owners. The company exists first to serve the public of Connecticut. That's the first thing. Okay? But as it is a right to have money, because work, when we work, we have the right to have to be paid for that. But it's not the first thing. The first reality of trade is to help and to facilitate the life of people. In fact, we facilitate the life of people. We make the life of people more comfortable. We assure their security. We can assure sometimes their survival. Because we need to eat something. If you have nothing, and if you process, I give you an example. In Cameroon, we produce a lot of sugar. It's a country for sugar. And sometimes we cannot find sugar in the store. Imagine. Where is the sugar? No, it is some shell. And they provoke artificially a need to grow and to make a need. And when the need is there, they justify. Next time, we pay 25 cents more for 1 pound of sugar, you know, artificial. That is not honest. If I produce sugar, it is to serve the population. Of course, it is just, I take my salary, but it is not the first reason. I don't work first to make a salary. I work first to serve the community. That changed the meaning of work and trade, you know. Otherwise, no. I should be hired for, pay for that, you know. Okay, the first, it is inheritance. Huh? Inheritance. It is a title, a valuable title, to property. When your parent died, when your father died, mother died, they work, they have a house, they have a garden, they have a farm, they have an enterprise, a company, etc. And they give that to their children, or to another one if they want, you know. So when we receive, when we are the heir of some wealth, some fortune, some, it is a right to possess, a title to property. And that is, you know, property, in some country, if we die, the property comes to the government. Well, it was like in the past, in some communist country they did that. In fact, the property belongs to the heir, but the title must be clear. What is the title? The will. Huh? The will. And the will is very important. Sometimes people, they say they don't want to write a will because they are afraid to die. So the will is to clear. If I die, when I will die, the good will go to my son or my daughter, or I will divide that. I give that to, for example, a community. Be careful, community. Huh? If ever someone, a rich person, give you some amount for your hospital, for example, always require paper with a notary. Okay? Future Superior General here. Don't trust only the word.
Yes.
Even with the, written before a notary. You protect your congregation. Otherwise, what will happen? When the father died, mother died, children they say, hey, that money is our money. And now they pay a lawyer to take care, to bring back the money they give to your community. And you have to fight for that, you know. It must be very clear. And that never accept without paper. Sometimes we forget that in community. We are naive. We think everybody is a saint. Not everybody is a saint. So protect you, protect yourself, protect your family. Huh? Okay? So property, in fact, why your parents accumulated some good? For their survival, of course, but also for you. For their children, for the family, for the good of the family, you know, to facilitate your life, etc. And that is a good thing. Not only we work for now, we work for the future. Even we know we'll not be on earth, my children, my great children will be on earth, and we can continue to take benefit of the work I did, you know. And that is justice. That is justice. Because the family is not only now. The family is in the past, the family is in the future also. Sometimes we forget that. In our society, we speak only about the present, the present. Okay? So in fact, the parents are the providence of the family. God gave us an intellect. We see that when we study in philosophy of God, the divine providence, we will see that God uses man, asks man to use his mind to preview the future. You know, I cannot say, sit down now, the divine providence will work on my garden in May. In June, I am waiting, God will work, you know. He gave me a mind, He gave me muscle, He gave me a heart, He said, go and work. Prepare the future for your family. It is an honor, the work, we see that next week. To work, it is to share in the divine providence of God. It's a privilege to work, to prepare the future. And when your parent, when somebody prepare a leg for the future, okay? So the civil law determines the inheritance. But it should be based on natural justice. In fact, inheritance is not only based on civil law. The civil law precises the right to inherit, but the right itself is natural. And the right itself is natural. And it should protect the heirs even during life. For example, in many countries, we can give your good to your children when you are living. In France, for example, there is a law. If you give your house, for example, you belonging to your children just before 70 years old or 70, you pay no taxes, you know. So you can do that also in living. You can make a bequest, a bequest. And when you make a bequest, always with the paper. Don't forget that. Huh? If you are a bursar of your community, you receive a gift, write a paper, a receipt, and a copy in your community. That is prudence, that is justice for your community. Don't forget that, very, very important. And many problems come from that. Or you can be accused to not to use well the money of your parish. Every action you do as a priest, money, inscribe that. Have a double. So that is very, very important. Otherwise, you can be accused, you can go to jail. So it is very serious. Sometimes people, no, papers are important. To be clear, to avoid problems. Maybe you will not have a problem, but the superior coming after you, or the parish priest coming after you, will have the problem. So it is better to have very clear idea. You buy a land, clear paper. You buy every time. You receive money, make an accusation, a reception, give a receipt. A proof that you receive money. It is not put into your pocket. It is put in the cash in the account of the parish. I insist on that. That is not imagination, what I tell you. That is reality. That is reality. We have a priest in Quebec about 10 years ago. He was accused to put aside money for $600,000, and he is in jail. We must be clear. That is justice. And justice requires prudence, requires exactitude, I insist on that. I insist because sometimes we are charismatic. We don't need to think. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Now take your pen and write your paper. And you're so a bursar in the community has a great responsibility. Because he can ruin the community. We have a case in Canada, the community was ruined because of the general bursar. So that is what I tell you, very important. No? If only you remind that from my class today, maybe you will save a lot of problems to your diocese or your congregation. Okay? Don't be naive, be precise in everything, especially in a financial dimension. Okay, that is very, very important. No, precise, very precise, and all your book very precise. The sixth is accession. The title of accession. What is that? One gain ownership of the increment accruing of a property. For example, you buy an orchard. The trees are little, they're small. And the orchard grows and grows and grows, so you have the property, the owner, not only the little apple tree, you have the owner also of the apples. You possess, your property is growing by accession, by the growth of what you receive. You receive a few animals, and you take care of them, and they multiply, and you have a big herd. That it is you. It is a right to possess. by agreeing. Huh? For example, the one who sold you the two first, or the first rabbits, or the first goat or ants, and he should not say, "Hey, I sold you only two. Give me the other." No, he cannot do that. He cannot say, I remember you paid for me for one male and one female rabbit, and now you have 40. Hey, give me the 40. No, the 40 are you. But right accession, right by accession, okay? But that is precise by civil law, but it is a natural law. It is, if you buy something and that thing is developing, by the fruit of that is yours. It's yours. And another, the 7, it is prescription. The title of prescription. You possess something, we call it also adverse possession, because of the extension of the previous, the title of the previous owner. There was an owner, for example, think about a house in the country, a farm, abandoned house, abandoned farm, and after a certain year, there is a right of prescription. I give you an example in France. In France, there is a right of prescription, 10 years. 10 years. And suppose a criminal escaped from jail. 10 years after, he can come back as a free man. There is a movie on that. The movie is Papillon. Mr. Papillon. His name, Butterfly. Papillon. Mr. Papillon, Mr. Butterfly, by his name. And he was in Guyana, French Guyana, which is the worst penitentiary for French. He escaped from that. And 10 years and 1 day after, he presented to the border, he said, I am a free man. And he was a free man. That is prescription. I think it's very wise. Because today we have people, they are 95 years old, 85 years old, and they are accused of things they did when they were 20 years old. And that is horrible. So you have the right of prescription. If you cannot pursue someone in 10 years, except for certain crime against humanity. For example, in France you have the cry that the Jews, they were killed during the... So that, but that is it is in France. That does not exist here. The right of prescription, or is something. Another example: we have a wallet, and the wallet is given to the police or somewhere. Okay. After a certain time, you can come and say, okay, did anyone came to reclaim that wallet? Say no. Okay, you can take the wallet with the content, of course. Okay, you understand that, and the right of prescription. Okay, because of lapse of time, it is the measure of time. After a certain time, it is important, you know why? Because you can possess something, and if you don't pay your taxes during a certain time, you don't pay your taxes, after 10 years, for example, or 20 years, that land or that house belongs to the state. Come back to the state, or come back to one who buy one. And we have that sometimes, they have auction. They have auction. And what are the cars, what sold at that auction, called the abandoned. Nobody took there, nobody paid for them. We don't know who is the owner, for example. So lusting, an auction for lusting. Okay? So there must be, the good must not be owned now. The condition, we cannot take a thing as mine only according to the civil law prescribing the limit of time. And we have to check if there is an owner. But sometimes people die and they forget their money in bank. That is a fact, it's not an invention, that's a fact. No? They die, they have no children, they have no heir, and they die, and they have amount of money in the bank, and nobody reclaimed that. So after 10 years or 20 years, but the money comes to the bank or comes to, so that prescription, okay? Now the contract. So we saw the contract is a mutual agreement, mutual between the subject and the term. And the term is a person, concerning the transfer of right. In fact, a contract is essentially the transfer of right. When you buy a computer, the computer belongs to Best Buy, or belong to Radio Shack, or belong to Walmart, for example, okay, or Samsung. Okay? They have a right to possess the computer. Now you buy it, you have a contract, so you have a new title. You have the title to possess the computer. So that means the title, the owner of the title of the computer passes from Best Buy or the company to you. That is a contract. And there must be a title for that contract. The title is such as before, it is you buy, you get money, exchange. Okay? In the United States, there is a lawyer, a jurisprudent man, Mr. Blackstone. It is quoted by Father who lived from 1723 to 1780. And named the time of the beginning of the United States. And that meant that he was a legislator. He influenced a lot the laws written at the beginning of your country, Mr. Blackstone. And he defined the contract as the following. It is an agreement freely accepted. So, freedom. The first, freedom. A contract made under fear, under menace. You go to the marriage and the witness is just behind you with a knife. You say yes, yes. That is not valid. Free. First condition. Very important. You know, in congregation, religious congregation, seminary, we have to verify if you are really free. You have to affirm that you are very free. You are not pushed by your mother. You are not pushed by any factor. I give you an example that is not imaginary, it is real. I know a priest. His mother, in the family there are 8, maybe I told that to you. 8 girls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 girls. And the 9th one was a boy. See the situation? 9 girls and the little boy. Secondly, the father died. Before that, the girl, one by one, enter a religious congregation. The 8th girl became sister, nuns. The mother, after the death of her husband, she became a nun. And the poor boy, I must become a priest. And he became a priest, but it was not at all his vocation. Not at all. No, he was. So it's important to verify if you are free. You know, sometimes you have people, they are 35 years old, boy and man, and they call their mother, "Mother, this morning, what I should do? Can you, no, will I marry Josephine or Martha or Cecilia?" No. No, it's important. A contract must be first free. Secondly, mutual agreement. It's a mutual agreement. No, it is not a contract imposed by one. Both of them accept mutual agreement. It is an exchange, a transfer of right. A transfer of right. Transfer of right, or exchange. Exchange. And the contract binds is something, the contract is binding. That means there is an obligation in commutative justice. The justice of contract is commutative, exchange. Commutative justice. Commutative justice. So you have the element of a contract here. If one element is not there, it's not a contract. For example, if there is no obligation, it's only a wish. It's a wish, it's not a real contract. A contract obliges. And you don't respect the contract, you have to pay the consequence of that, etc. Okay? Now a remark. The consent must be on both sides, of course. But sometimes, in the case, for example, of gratuitous contract or exchange, in that case, it's not in strict justice. For example, your uncle gave you a bicycle. He does not give the bicycle to you in strict justice. So that is not a. It's a kind of contract. It's not a pure, strict contract. You know. Okay. Your uncle cannot require that you say thank you. If you don't say thank you, no bicycle. No. But a real contract is binding. Binding. And when you make the contract, be attentive. But your insurance company, you have line. Yes, brother.
Kind of wondering about that. So a gift is totally free on both edge, but in like our society today, it's common to say thank you.
Yeah. It's only a moral. It's not a strict obligation, you know why we say thank you. If you understand what I told you at the beginning of the class, any service, when you pay something, you work the commerce exchange is a service to the community. So if it is a service, well, you should say thank you. You go to the store and you pay, but they give you, you can say thank you because that person is rendering you a service. Of course, he is paid, she is paid for that. But the first goal of exchange, don't forget, it is to serve. So it is, I think, convenient to say thank you. But in my seminary in Cameroon, I was right there and was surprised. Very rarely a seminarian told me thank you. I said, why we don't say thank you? I give you something. And one student told me, your dear father, in my language, in my tribe, the word thank you does not exist. He said to me, not everyone, because someone they say thank you, but in this tribe he said, if we say thank you, that means we depend on the other. And we don't want to depend on the other, so we don't say thank you. It's interesting. In fact, when somebody serves you at the store or at a restaurant, you depend on him, on her, no? Even you pay, you depend on him. So, in fact, Thanksgiving is an act of humility. It's an act of humility. I recognize that I depend on the other. Even when the President of the United States goes to the barber shop to cut his hair, he depends on the razor and the skillness of the barber, you know. So he should say thank you. And Pope Francis is very attentive to that. He meets, recently he went to the cafeteria, he queued in the line to eat with the workers, and he all the time say thank you. Yes, if he is a Pope, you have to thank people. Interesting. Okay, so the philosophy has consequences even in that dimension. If I understand that trade is based on exchange is a service, I should appreciate the quality of the service of the other. Okay, and anyway, the word Eucharistie, Eucharisto means thank you. I told that to you. If you go to a Greek restaurant, and you check if it is a Greek restaurant, when you are served, say Eucharisto. And you will see they will smile like that. Huh? Because, thank you. Eucharistie means thank you. Okay. Now, continue. The condition for binding, a contract can bind only if it is valid, of course. We cannot make a contract to kill, for example. And secondly, it should be licit. Valid and licit. Well, when you study canon law, you will see the difference. Huh? Licit, it is when it is conform to the civil law or to the canon law, to the law. Huh? Licit, lex. Huh? The word licit comes from a lex. Huh? Law. That is licit. Validity, it is dependent on the power of the one who is doing that. For example, a priest who is suspended, that means he has no right to practice his ministry openly. If he says the Mass openly, that means in public, his Mass is valid, of course. But it's not licit. That means he has not the permission of the bishop to do that. You know? But suppose another example. I am a Canadian. I live in Connecticut. And some of my former students, they say, "Oh, Father Michel, I appreciate so much your class of philosophy and logic. You know, to be logic with you, I ask you to bless my marriage." Okay. Okay, I say, okay, but I with pleasure, I will do that. So I go to his parish, I bless marriage. The marriage is invalid. Because I have no power here in Connecticut to celebrate a marriage. So that marriage is not only illicit, it is invalid. So sometimes a thing can be valid, not illicit. Okay? Well, that is important. You know, another example to prove you must be attentive to some precision. In Canada, in Ottawa, in 1960s, I was 66, I think 65. Three kids, 15, 17, 18, 19 years old, attacked during the Mass the sacristan. They were in the sacristy to take the collection during the Mass. The parish, it was the Christ the Roi, Christ the King in Ottawa. And the three boys were caught by the police. And in Ontario, the law say if you are younger than 16 years old, and you are 16 years old and young, you cannot be judged as an adult. And among the three boys, one of them was, when he committed the crime with other, it was the day of his 16th birthday. Because of that, he was judged as a minor. That is important. Another example, our teacher in the canon law insists on that. Suppose a day young people come to you, you say, "Father, we want to marry." But how old are you? I am 17 in 11 months, 17, 10 months. And you are 18, 12. Okay, 18, 5 months. When do you want to marry? Oh, the day of my birth. I will be 18. So I will want to marry on the day of my birth. If you accept, the marriage is invalid. Because it cannot be adult only at night. You know, that is important. When the day is finished. So you can marry him the day after. If you marry the day after, the marriage is valid. If you marry him the day before, he is invalid. Now, you must know that. You know, you buy a car, but it is not the day of your birth, it's the day after. After. A detail that has great consequences. In that case, for the good of the boy, because he was not just an adult, because he has judged as an adult, he can be hanged. At that time, we have that penalty. Huh? Okay. Okay, now the condition for validity of the contract. But the first condition is the competence of the contractor. Of course, 18 years old. Huh? Don't forget, 18 years old after your birthday. Not the day of your birthday. Huh? Secondly, the matter must be suitable. That means there must be a real matter, a matter you can, it could be possible. It could be precise. It must be permissible. For example, Herod has a contract with the daughter of the wife of his brother. You remember that? Saint John the Baptist. Was Herod obliged to observe the contract he did with the girl to say, I will give you the half of my kingdom? No. When she asked for the head of John the Baptist, it was not permissible. It was not. So a contract must be always about moral thing, not immoral thing. If you, for example, if suppose the mafiosi accept to make a contract to kill someone, some senator, for example. Okay, so you have a contract, and you say, okay, when you finish, we kill him. After you go at that bank, and you have the money for that. Okay, and the poor guy, you say, oh yeah, no, my conscience, he's going to kill, but he changed. Can he be pursued because he did not respect the contract? No, a contract must be something moral, permissible. Possible, etc. Okay? And you can make a contract only if the thing belongs to you. You cannot make a contract for a thing that does not belong to you. For example, you cannot sell the car of your father because you need money to pay your tuition. So okay. Therefore, a contract for evil never oblige. Never oblige. Now, mutual consent. Both of them must exchange the consent. That means the offer before the contract stop when one retires his proposition. As long as the contract is not signed, there is always possibility to come back. For example, in a marriage, you have a priest or a minister, Protestant minister, or a rabbi, and you have the groom and the bride, and you have two witnesses. To be sure, to be sure, and after that you have to sign. It's the same, when we have the profession, the holy apostle in the chapel, we have the provincial, the one who received the promise. We have the two witnesses. Most of the time, they take Brother Bob Wheaton. And after that, they have to sign. As long as you don't say yes in public, you can. Sometimes we see that. Just at the moment of the marriage, I saw that in a movie recently. It was a funny movie, but not funny for the people. Just at that time, he said, "Do you want to take?" And the girl said, she ran out of the church. She ran out of the church. The contract is not made, but when the contract is in front of witnesses and signed, that is become obligatory. Okay? And but the contract can be made under fear. So we have to always to check if the people are free, the people are able to do that contract. They have the mental capacity also to do. So you study that in canon law and civil law. Okay. Now the contract of property, how can become the owner of a thing, or by buying or by selling? So you can read that. It's not difficult. The problem in the contract of buying and selling is how to fix the just price. That is the big problem. The big problem in economy is that how to fix the just price of a service or the just price of a thing, Okay? So, in fact, you have two words here. You have the word just and you have the word price. Just, price. Just is ethics, and price is economy. What is the meaning of that? The ethics cannot fix the price. It is economy. It is the laws of economy that fix the price. But the price fixed by the law must be just must respect the good of the people, and commutative justice, and must respect also the common good of the society. You know? And that is the big challenge is to fix the price of things. That is a very difficult thing. It's fluctuating, it's changing, depending the need of the utility of a thing. For example, I remember 40 years ago in Cameroon, our superior general came to visit us, and he brought with him a little calculator, you know, very simple: addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. And that cost at that time $84. Today you have the same thing for $1 at $3, and bigger and more sophisticated. So how to fix the price? When I buy my first computer, it was a Macintosh 514 kilobyte, imagine. 514 kilobyte. I paid $3,000 for that. $3,000. I bought a printer with that. I paid $600 for that. The year after, I paid one memory, 1 gigabyte. It was a marvel, 1 gigabyte, $1,000. Today, you buy a gigabyte for 50 cents. That is interesting. The price is very relative to the demand and to the need of the people. So that is difficult, but always the price should respect justice, equity. It is for the never forget the service of the people. If the people become very poor because you create artificial dumping, for example, that is unjust. The price, for example, in Cameroon, when the price of sugar was climbing, because they put aside the eye and the id, the sugar, so people say, hey, where is sugar? We need sugar. And after that, the price climbed. Okay? So the just price. I'm not an economist. I cannot speak about that. What I can say it must be just. And that is, you know, you have people, they are competent in that. Another thing important also, here you see, you know, if we speak about social justice is not separated from economy. It's not separated from politics. It's not separated from sociology. So what is the consequence of that? We must have good Catholic, specialized in economy, specialized in politics, specialized in sociology. That is important, to be there, to have good Catholic economists. Not only paid by capitalists, but economists, Catholic. We need that. And those people can say that price is just, that price is not just. I can't say the price must be just. It must be just, but I cannot say what price will be. So we need people for that. Sometimes, as future dealer and formator of a Christian, don't forget, our Christian must be present in those aspects, like in mass media. It must be there. Yes, brother.
Taking the example of 2008, the Great Recession in the economy of the North America. So the bubble houses, the price of the bubble houses, it dropped rapidly. Then is that just for the construction company? Because you save the whole economy of the of North America. Let's say that, but is that just price for the construction company? Because they work and their salary based on that.
The question is very important. In every economic crisis, there is always some cause for that. Mm-hmm. And the last crisis was the greed.
Oh, greed, yes.
Greed. The greed of someone, and because of that, people. In Spain, the central name happened. So they created an artificial, like in Ireland, an artificial boom, economic boom. It was artificial. And after that, for example, suppose you go to the bank, you say, okay, I want to borrow $28,000. Okay, you have $28,000. So what you do? You buy something, But after that, what you have to do? To pay. So that we can create a temporary economic situation, you know? But that does not last in the proof. But of course, in every crisis, people suffer. People suffer because of injustice. The majority of the crises are based on injustice. Because they for example, monopoly, under monopoly, the control, etc. Okay? So the problem of fixation of just prices, Father faculty speak about that, but you know, it's not only a question of ethics, it's a question of economy. Okay? We speak about that when we study capitalism, we come back on that. Okay? But the just price, in fact, is elastic. It changes, it evolves. Example, we see now gasoline. 2 years ago it was $3, now it's $2. Maybe it will be $1.50 after, I don't know. You know, it's fluctuating. Okay? Monopoly, they speak about monopoly, the control of the market by someone. Well, that is immoral if it is at the expense of the people. But sometimes a monopoly of state can be good. I give an example in Quebec. Up to 1960, the electricity company depend on many external company, from Germany, from United States, from Great Britain, and there were many companies in there. And what happened? People living 30 miles from Montreal, they have no electricity. My grandmother, she lived 25 miles from Montreal because it was too far. Big companies were there not to serve the people, but to make money. So what the government say, okay, we buy today, we decide to buy all those companies. So they give to the company the price of the day. Your company worth 20 million, okay, 20 million. And now we are the boss. And now everybody has electricity. It is the cheapest price in the world we have. And the cheapest price. Because we have a huge production of electricity, huge. We can furnish all the electricity for New England. But of course, coal in Virginia opposed to that. Huh? But you know, sometimes it's good. Lottery, for example, lottery gambling. Why? In our country, some countries, the government take that. Why? Because who pays for the failure in the families? Who pays for the consequence of that? The government. Alcohol is controlled, some country. Electricity, gas in France by the government. Trains in France are excellent. Before there was maybe 20, 40 different little companies. Now they have only one company and they put together. Sometimes monopoly of state is good, but the monopoly of private company is dangerous because they can fix. That's the monopoly of the press. You know, today, you remember Mr. Hearst? Citizen Kane, Mr. Hearst? He was the owner of a lot of companies, the same in England today. So that's the danger of the monopoly. Fix the price to make benefit, not taking care of the people. But you have some ownership can be also, property can be in group. We call company, we call partnership. So you can read that by yourself. The problem of the big company, you know, we have two kinds of company. You can have a company belonging to some person, we know them. Henry Ford, we know Henry Ford. But some company, we don't know who is the owner. It is that is very difficult because the decisions are placed only by some at the top. But everybody in the company should participate so they can take decisions without having a personal responsibility. That is the danger. For example, they can use the money of the shareholders for abortion, for contraception, for producing of arms. They can put their money when they want. They are not controlled. But when there is a man precise, and I give the example Carnegie, for Henry Ford, Rockefeller, we know. And Bill Gates, we know him, you know. It's not the same as a as a company, and the owner are in Germany, in China, everywhere, and they do what they want. Huh? That is the danger of that kind of. The lack of responsibility, that's the problem. The lack of responsibility, and only a minority control. But in fact, it should be controlled by all people, all the shareholders. But of course, the shareholders don't go. In Canada, we have popular banks, and everyone is a shareholder. I must confess, I never went to the meeting in 50 years, 60 years. I never went because I say I have only a little bit. So if everybody say I have only a little bit of the bank, nobody goes. Finally, who takes the decision? Only a few one. Okay, that is it. The problem of interest, I finish by that. When we speak about economy, property, we touch interest. You know, the interest was considered as usury in the Middle Age, up to the 13th, 14th century, when they began to have to deal with Venice, Firenze, many countries, many principalities began to deal, to have trade with other countries, like China, like Arabic countries, etc. So they need to exchange money, and they need to invest. So they put their money together, they put their money together. When you put your money in a own, but you should have some benefit of that. Because, for example, suppose I have $5,000. With my $5,000, I can pay a trip to Saint Domingo or to Nigeria during the winter. I say, hey, winter. But I put my $5,000 in the enterprise. I should have some benefit. The one who invests their money, they don't enjoy now their money. So it's normal they enjoy the fruit of their money. And the one who proposed that, who defended interest, is funny, is a Franciscan. I told that to you, Saint Benedict of Siena. Saint Benedict of Siena. It's funny, a Franciscan fighting for defending the interest. But he was aware that, the one who invests his money is a risk. He can lose also his money. So it is a way to contribute to the common good. Instead of keeping my little money with me under my bed, my pillow, I invest that. It's a risk. Because economy, don't forget, is based on trust. On trust. Recently on television, there was a man, Chinese, Jack Ma. Jack Ma. That Chinese created the system Alibaba. You know that Alibaba. And he said, he's a communist country. Don't forget, he's a China in communist country. And he said, if we want to succeed in economy, you must be honest. You must be honest. Because if you are honest, people will trust you. So he said, my company, I insist it is honesty. If something is not honest, get out. So that is, it is honest to have some interest from what we have. And finally, the last, it is by chance. And by chance, contract by chance, you have two kinds. You have gambling and you have insurance. Insurance are based on chance. So that is a kind of contract, a contract based on chance. But they have some, of course, the condition to have a good contract on gambling is to be honest. If you trick everything, it's not, it's not honest. And also to respect always the common good. In fact, those contract based on chance require some prudence. Some prudence. For example, in gambling, the prudence of the one who invests. Someone they cannot, it's an addiction. He loses everything. Or it's the same for an insurance company. It is based on a statistic. We never know what will happen. We never know if there was a Katrina over Mississippi. So it is a risk. Insurance company is a risk, and they fix the rate we have to pay according to the risk they take. So we see many kind of contract, many kind of contract. But what is the virtue central, animating everything, is the virtue of justice. Justice. If there is no justice, all those contracts are immoral. and justice, and also charity, because we deal with human person. No? So sometimes even sometimes we must not obey the letter of the contract because of the virtue of equity. No? That means if I apply the law of the contract, the consequence will be worse than if we don't apply. The classical example, if there is a woman, an old woman, renting a home, and she is not able to pay, after 3 months you can say get out, but it is in January, February, it is minus 20 Fahrenheit. It is legal to kick her out, but it's not equitable. Understand that? Justice and also equity.
Thank you.